Good morning. It's raining here in California. We don't know what to do about it. See all of you here? Let me look and see how many attendees I have. Yippee. Oh, yeah. Well, this is wonderful. Oh, I see some new people. I cannot explain how much I love that. I love new people. It is such a joy to be here with you today. And some of you just signed up. Nothing could make me happier than that. Let me say good morning to you all so you can see my face. Hi, everybody. Well, here I am. I am Judy McKee, and today is Quick Fix Friday. And I'm about to start. And I had sort of a interesting evening last night, a little revelation. So today I'm going to train you. You are the trainees. I am the trainer. Today I'm going to train you in something that I think is one of the most important things a trainer can ever do. And I will tell you about it in just a minute. So before I do that, let's get set up here and make sure everything's being recorded. I have the audio on. I believe you can see my screen. I'm going to check to see what you see. What is the audience view? Yummy. You can see it. Excellent. So let's go to the next slide then, because what I really want to do today is talk about retention. And we have 20 minutes, and I was going to give you some rules and regulations, but I think I'm going to save that for the next session, because something happened yesterday that really was inspiring to me, or I don't know if the word was inspiring, but it opened my eyes to something that I always want to do, and that I always train the trainers in when I get the wonderful opportunity of being in the room with a group of trainees who are learning to train other people. So I thought I would show you today something about what I call coming from your experience. Now, the reason I'm doing that today is because I want you to understand that simplicity is very difficult for complicated minds. And the more complicated we are, the more difficult it is for our students to learn what we really want them to learn. And at the same time, now add on to that retention, because retention is probably one of the most difficult jobs in any call center. And the reason that it's so difficult is because we have to take people and we have to get them back to the original spot they were in mentally, emotionally, when they signed up for whatever project we have, or that you have, I should say. And to do that, you have to be able to do something that I call come out of your experience. So I'm going to come on screen today. I'm going to act like the actress. I'm going to act like the trainer. And I'm going to show you what I mean by that. In the 70s, there was a huge movement on, by the way, it's still there. I'm sorry to say that we failed in our agenda. In the late 70s, I was invited to speak for an organization called the Hunger Project. Now, the Hunger Project had amazing goals, and their goal was to get the minds of people to think that it was all right if we would feed everyone on the planet, if no person, no child would have to go hungry. And I thought it was a wonderful opportunity for me, and I thought it was a good thing for me to do for the world, make a little contribution, at the same time do some good work, get some practice in. I was brand new in my business, and I was invited to speak for this very highly esteemed group of people about hunger. And the reason I'm telling you this story today is because this is the day that I learned, I don't want to say humility because that sounds too good even for me, but it was the day that I learned that if I don't come out of my experience, people won't really relate to what I would like them to relate to. And today, when I train trainers, last year I trained a group at eBay, and when I started, I trained people at eHarmony. And that was actually the Train the Trainer program that I did for eHarmony was the first time that I ever trained anyone in retention. And that was about 15 years ago. So if you look at your life, as I often look at mine, and I say, how did I learn that? Or maybe somebody will be silly enough to ask me how I learned something. And then they get the story, of course. And what happened at eHarmony is we had to bring the people who were canceling back to the experience that they had in their minds when they signed up in the first place. Why did they sign up? What did they want? Why did they fill out a 200-point program? You know, I mean, the questionnaire, I mean, it's huge. It takes hours to do. So they did all that for some reason. And at the time, I was training sales, and I was training customer service inbound, what I call, would you like fries with that? Upselling and cross-selling. And the reason I tell you that is because that was the most, I should say it was the deepest that I had to go in order to get the trainees to understand the angst and the things that were going on with people when they sign up for eHarmony. What are they looking for? And when it doesn't turn out all right, right away, they get scared. So that was the event. And that triggered me to think, when I train trainers, which is my job with you, and I try every 2 weeks to give you some good ideas to take out there in the world, something that you can make that'll be useful to you, that you can be practical about, that you can actually take and use it in your job today. Well, this is a little deeper than that. You might not be able to do it right today, but I would love it if you would understand it today. Begin to open your mind to it today. Because what really happens when you want to do a job that is a hard job, that it would be to teach people to save the sale, not just throw money at people, but actually re-enroll them, re-register them, start them from the beginning. That takes a certain kind of depth, and for you to teach it, you have to come out of your experience, or it just sounds like you're trying to get something. You're trying to take something away from the customer. You want to get them to give you your money back, or register again so that your company can have more customers. It doesn't really feel to the agent like it's for the customer, really for the customer, purely for the customer. And so I'll tell you how I learned to do this. And it wasn't an easy lesson, I can tell you that. What happened to me was I was invited to speak for this organization, and they wanted to test me first. By the way, I can tell you right there that I was a little arrogant there. I'm going, well, excuse me, I'm offering to volunteer, and you want me to audition? And what happened was they said, yes, we do. We don't want anyone going out talking about the Hunger Project unless they know what it is and unless they can make a good presentation for the company and for our cause. So they gave me a document. It was about 9 pages, two-sided, 18 pages of documentation, all about what hunger was about on the planet. you know, how we could really feed people, what were the problems with why we don't feed people, what were the mental things that people did in certain countries and certain leaders, and of course there were how many crops that we have and how many fields go left unfarmed, and I mean it was very factual, very informational, very good document. So I studied the document and I had to prepare an 8-minute program. And, well, you can tell by me now, those of you at least who have been hanging around me for a while, that, you know, that's kind of hard for me to talk in for a short period of time. But at any rate, what I did was I decided that I would give this great speech. And I wrote a speech. It was 8 minutes. I timed it. I practiced it. I was ready to go. I gave my 8-minute speech, and when I finished giving my 8-minute speech, the lady who was in charge, I won't say who she was because she's a pretty famous lady, she said she didn't care a single thing about hungering right now. She did not want to enroll in the project. Well, those of you who are real trainers and you get up in front of the room and you try to make something happen and you try to make a statement about your life and about what's important and you want to lead your trainees down the right road, I can tell you that you know that was absolutely devastating. I started crying. I was all upset. I stormed off of the stage saying something like, "I'm sorry, I've never been hungry. My mother fed me every day of my life." That was the anger, really, that was just covering up this horrible feeling of inadequacy, and my self-confidence went out the window, and who do they think they are anyway? And, you know, it went on like that inside of my head. So I stormed off and I went into another room. And then this amazing man, Richard Byrne, God rest his soul, he was on the committee to choose the person for the speaking engagements that they had planned. And he came in there and he put his arms around me and, you know, like, they're there, you know, it felt like a, you know, Big Bang Theory. They're there, they're there. It's all going to turn out all right. And then he said to me, he said, "Well, Judy, the reason that you did not enroll everybody in the room the way you usually do is because with regard to hunger, you did not come out of your experience." Now, those words are very important. I would love it if you would write them down. The words are, come out of your experience. Whenever you want to make a difference, whenever you want to enroll people in something wonderful, something deep, something good for your customer, good for their trainee, whoever, you are a teacher. If you are a teacher and you are a trainer, in order to really matter, you have to learn to come out of your experience. So Richard says, "So come out of your experience." And I go, "Richard, I'm so sorry, but I don't have any experience of being hungry. I have no experience. My mother fed me. I've never ever been hungry that I can remember. The closest I ever came to being hungry was when the Hunger Project said, everybody don't eat for one whole day. See what that feels like." And I said, "That's the closest I ever came. And believe me, I wanted a donut and I could afford a donut and I wanted to eat." So he said, "No, you have an experience of hunger somewhere in your life." He said, "Have you ever seen a hungry person?" And I said, "Well, I guess. I mean, I've seen homeless people or something like that." And he says, "No, I mean somebody really hungry. Think back into your life. Have you ever actually seen someone who's very, very hungry?" And all of a sudden, I remembered that I had saved up all my money for a long time to take my husband on a cruise. And I wanted to go first class. And so I wanted a really good cabin with a window or a balcony or something like that. And I saved up money. And I did buy the cruise. And we did go on this amazing, wonderful cruise. And when we got to Puerto Plata, which is in Haiti, or the Dominican Republic, which is, I can't remember. Anyway, Puerto Plata. We went off the ship to go see the sights of Puerto Plata. Well, the first thing you see when you get off the ship in Puerto Plata are not beautiful sights. The first thing you see are children who are starving. Still gets to me. These children come running up to you. They grab your clothes. They're hanging on to you. They're trying to get things from you. And you don't quite know what to do. You've not had this experience before. And so I had all kinds of mixed emotions. And Richard said, Judy, what were you feeling when this happened? And I said, well, I can tell you one feeling I was having for sure. I was really angry with the people of that country that they don't feed their children. What's the matter with them? Why don't they feed their children? Why do they put this burden on me? Suddenly I'm guilty. And I said, I opened up my purse and I gave them every single thing I had in there except my ID. I even took the wallet apart, kept my ID, and gave them the wallet with nothing in it. I gave them, I'm a teacher and a trainer, so at the bottom of my purse there are pens, pencils, highlighters, probably a paper clip or two. And these little children wanted these things. And I'm giving them everything I've got. I'm giving them everything. I gave them what cash I had on me. And Richard says, well, what were you feeling during all that time that this was happening? I mean, besides being angry with the country for not taking care of their own children and leaving it up to you. And I said, well, I was thinking I wanted to feed them. I wanted to help them. We wasted more food on the ship yesterday than they've eaten in a week. And I said, that's what I want to do. I would feed them, but they're not my children. They're in Haiti. They're not my children. And he said, that's the feeling that you want to express in front of the room. And he said, that's what people want to know about. What you felt when you saw those hungry children. Even the anger. Even the pity. Even the sorrow. And then in my case, what I thought about to say when I actually walked back in front of the room is I said to these people, I said, here's the thing that I learned from that. I'm very quick to judge every country. But deep in my heart, all I really wanted to do was feed those children. I just wanted to feed them. And I gave them everything I could. And I realized that when children are right next to you, if a hungry person came to your door, you would give them something to eat. You wouldn't withhold anything. If you've got a freezer full of food or you've got a pot of coffee, you would give them something. You would not be able not to give them something. It wouldn't be something you would be able to do. If you saw hungry children and you had any food in your basket, you'd be handing it over instantly because they are right in front of you. And then I used a closer then where I said, but since they're over in another country and you can't see them and you can't touch them, and you can't see their distended stomachs and their eyes that are crying because you cannot see that, you don't feel responsible. But here's the truth of it. If you did see them like I did on the cruise ship or on the side of the cruise ship, I did feel responsible. I even felt guilty. But the truth is I'm not guilty because that isn't my country. But I am responsible. I'm responsible to take up ownership in my mind that it's okay with me if the planet feeds their hungry. That's coming from your experience. When I went to eHarmony, and I had the opportunity to teach them how to save people, I talked about relationships and how deeply we want them. How we're pretty clear, the reason why eHarmony works so well and actually finds so many wonderful relationships there is because eHarmony goes deeper. And eHarmony tries to match people by their values, not just their looks. And so these people that I was training there, I said, here's the thing. When someone joins eHarmony, it's because they want to find someone to love them or for them to love. And that's real. It may look like it isn't, but you need to come from your experience of relationships, whether they're with your mother, your father, your husband, your boyfriend, your good friend, your neighbor. But you have to dig deep enough to find a relationship in there so that you can discuss the importance of real relationships. And then you will be able to help people get back into line. But like I said, my title of my new book is Please Proceed to the Highlighted Route, so that they can go to the highlighted route. The highlighted route is, here's the road that you need to go on. Why don't you just go there instead of backing off? That's my lesson today. I've got a couple of more words about it, but I want you to really see that if you want to teach your agents, if you want to be the best trainer they ever had, if you want to be a trainer that is able to get deeper than the rules, then what you have to learn to do is to come out of your experience. That always makes you vulnerable. But I'll tell you something, the moment you are vulnerable, people are not going to harm you. They're not going to damage you in any way. What they will do is see what you're trying to do, and they will listen more. They will find what you have to say when you're coming out of your experience. They will find that item, that piece of information, that thing that you're trying to get across that we can't even put a word to, that intuition, that intention, that purpose, that thing that is bigger than saying, I'll give you $20 if you'll stay. Bigger than that. When the job needs to get done, your agents will find their own place, just as I did with Richard Burr. I thought at first I didn't have a hungry place, but I do. And so do you. And you also have a story. And you also have something that happened to you. The only thing you really have to learn is how to express that story without being arrogant, without being noble, without being pushy or trying to get their understanding or sympathy. You have to be able to just produce it bare neutral. This is what happened. This is what I learned. This is where I'm coming from, and I want you to come along with me. That is what you have to do when you're teaching retention. Hey, pretty good, huh? Hey, I can come out of my experience with the best of them. And I really mean it when I say that, we all want to do that. It's just that sometimes we don't have a teacher who'll teach us how to do it. And I would very much like to, of course, anytime be your teacher. I'd love to do it. But I only train trainers these days. Sally does all the training, and she's fantastic. And who do you think taught her everything she knows? See, there's that arrogance again. All right, let's take a look at a couple of rules, and then I'm going to send you home. Oh, yes, you're going to have to think of some experience. You sure are. Oh, I don't want that. Of course, you know who I am. There are a few new people who don't know who I am. Now it's shocking. Now you know who I am. I am Judy McKee with McKee Consulting. Yes, I've been in the call center business for 40 years. And I want to give you a couple of things that you can, so that those of you who are left-brained and you want some facts or something to take home, let me give you this. In teaching skills and techniques, especially where retention is involved, be sure that you follow a few of these rules. I would say follow all of these rules because, as you know, I think I know things. The real truth is, it's very important to correct mistakes that people make in retention immediately. You want to always prevent your trainees from practicing and learning anything that doesn't work. So if you could teach them something about your product, something about your service, something about what you are selling that is really, really good for your customer, and then you could come out of your experience to teach that to your agents, what will happen is they won't make as many mistakes because they will be able to figure out how important your product is or could be to someone. It also means that sometimes they won't enroll that person. Sometimes they won't get them back, and that's perfectly okay. As in learning to play an instrument, it's difficult to correct a mistake if it's been committed to memory. So all of you who are now training people in retention who've already been trained in customer service or your product, or just say at the end of the call, is there anything else I can do for you today? You know, if that's the level that you've taught them, then you've got to dig a little deeper to get them to handle retention. So the first thing I always say to my trainees when I'm teaching retention is, of course, the whole issue of a safe environment. And so I say to the trainees, remember, trainees, you may never point the finger at the customer for making a mistake. You know how they do now, many companies, they have a box when you sign up for something that says, check here if you do not want to auto-renew. Check here if you do not want to hear from our emails every day of your life. Check here if you do not want us to continue service after a year or 2 or 3 or 4. And your agent cannot point out that the customer didn't check that box. Because if you do that, that makes the customer feel wrong or stupid, and they don't like you when you do that. They don't sign up, sign in, and stay. What they do is fight. And then your agents wonder, why is this call not going well? It was them who made the mistake. Even if your facts are truthful, it doesn't make any difference. I'm looking at the time. I'm doing well. Even if the facts are truthful, it doesn't make any difference. People want to be re-enrolled emotionally, not factually. If you point out their errors, you are making them wrong or stupid. And as you know, those of you who've been with me, that's the bottom line of the Llama training, that we never, ever make our customer wrong or stupid, even if they are wrong, and especially when they're stupid. Instead, you learn to fix errors in a safe environment. That's why you have to be able to feel safe on the telephone with your customer. Because if you can feel safe, what will happen is the agent will be safe to talk to the customer. The customer will be safe to answer. Just yesterday, I had I went over to mail some books out, and I was at the post office, one of those mailbox places, and the lady saw I was sending out all these books and actually started up a little conversation. And she said, I wish you would teach us how to handle people, because she said, I had a regular customer who had a safety deposit box with us, and a mailbox, you know, where he gets his mail, and he didn't pay his bill, and we always bill them 2 weeks ahead, and we sent him an email, and then we sent him another email, and then we sent him another email, and he didn't pay for it. Finally, one day, we put they put something on their mailbox to tell them they have to pay their bill before they can pick up their mail. And this customer who'd been with him for 8 years walks in and says, "What is this? You're holding my mail for what?" "Well, we sent you 3 statements, Mr. Jones, and you didn't pay them." Now, those were facts. That was the truth. This customer took off on this woman and screamed at her and said, "What are you talking about? I've been with you for 8 years. And all of a sudden you hold my mail, act like I'm not going to pay you? Haven't I always paid you?" And she said she didn't know what to do. She tried to back off then, but she didn't know what to say. And I said, well, let's see if we can never have that kind of thing happen again. Let's follow the highlighted route. The man didn't pay his bill. He has been a revered customer of yours. You've had him for years. Now he comes in to pick up his mail, and you've put a little marking on his mailbox that says you can't have your mail until you pay your bill. Now, I said I would rethink that. I would probably leave the mail there and still write a little note that held on the front something to get his attention, but not his anger. And but that being said, now you turned around and you didn't do that. So what you did was he came on to you upset. And I said, what you could have done, and this is what I said, what you could have done was you could have said something like, "Oh, Mr. Jones, of course we know that. You've been with us for so long. We were actually kind of worried. What happened to you? You always pay on time. And we wanted to know what happened. We were going to get suspicious pretty soon as to maybe you left the country or maybe you were sick. We didn't know what to do. And so I'm glad. Here's all your mail. Thank you for being a customer of ours for a long, long time." And this person in that post office, she said to me, she said, "Boy, you're good." And she said it in a way like I was tricky or slick. And I said, no, I said, here's the thing. I'm never going to make that customer wrong or stupid, especially a customer that's been with me for 8 years. I would say there's got to be another way. So I want to fix errors in a safe environment. I want to fix errors in a safe environment. And you are the ones, you are the trainees. Excuse me, you are my trainees, but you're the trainers. And you're the managers, you're the supervisors. You have to teach, you have to train, and you have to create a safe environment for your agents. And I can tell you that if you can learn to come out of your experience of what it's like when you are not safe, what will happen is they will get that message and they will begin to follow the highlighted route, which is the one you are going to lay right out in front of them. All right? All right, that's all I have today. That's it. I'm done with that. Now, here's what I want you to do. I want you to be sure, if you're not signed up for the next session, to be sure to sign up for it. Because for some reason, you have to sign up for all the ones that are on the second Friday of the month. And then you also have to sign up for all of the ones that are on the fourth Friday of the month. And it's great to be with you today. I'm glad I got to tell a story. I don't speak as much as I used to, so it's kind of fun to get down. I totally enjoyed it. Thank you so very much. Write to me, and if you would like us to come and train your trainers or come and train you in the positive coach approach or in sales or in retention, or you want us to train your script writers, because we don't want them ever to read scripts, though. You understand that? We want them to know what to say and how to say it. And, of course, the thing we get called the most for, which is the thing we're writing our web-based training about, which is, would you like fries with that, or upselling and cross-selling. And that we are also pretty good at it. All right, thank you, everybody. Have a great weekend. I'm going to go out in the rain, I think. See you later. Bye-bye.